touch is our first language. Beyond when we're babies, we don't understand words. Yeah, what we'll understand is being held, being soothed, being patted on the back, and that's soothing. We know that, yeah? So when we're distressed and we're crying, when we get that response, hopefully there's a knowing of, there's someone here. Yeah, I'm still feeling in pain. I've still got colic, but there's someone here.
Welcome to Beyond the Pain, the podcast that explores what it really takes to break free from chronic pain and reclaim your life. I'm your host, Leigh Brandon, and someone who's spent over 2 decades helping people get to the root cause of pain that no one else could explain. Whether you're dealing with long-term back issues, joint pain, nerve discomfort, or mysterious symptoms that just won't go away, this show is here to help you go deeper. Because beyond the pain, there's clarity, strength, and power waiting for you. Each week, we'll uncover the physical, emotional, biochemical, and energetic causes of pain and how to transform them. Let's dive deep into this week's episode. In this episode, I'm joined by my good friend Liz Wong, who has one of the most fascinating journeys through personal training, the CHEK system, somatic experiencing, and ultimately into neuro-affective touch, a method of working with the body that can create profound shifts in people who've been stuck in pain, trauma, and emotional overwhelm. Liz explains why touch is our first language of safety, connection, and healing, and why so many people in chronic pain are actually experiencing their body's attempt to communicate unresolved feelings, unmet needs, or old protective patterns. We explore how touch, when used skillfully and compassionately, can help the nervous system settle, help resistance melt, and help people reconnect with parts of themselves they had to shut down just to get through life. This is a conversation about being seen, being met, and beginning to feel safe again in your own body. So if you're living with chronic pain, feeling stuck, or searching for a different way forward, I think you're really going to connect with this one. So let's dive in. Liz, it's really great to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's really good to have you on. So for anyone who didn't catch our first conversation, that was back in the Radical Health Rebel days, I believe. Can you share your journey? So obviously I've known you a long time. I think it's a long time. Let's not count the numbers. I think it goes back to the 90s, doesn't it?
No, 25. I think it's almost 25 years.
Yeah. ACSM exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So So can you share your journey from your early days, like your personal training? Obviously you studied some of the CHEK system, then you did somatic experiencing, which we spoke about last time, and then eventually, what drew you to neuro-affective touch, which is obviously what we're going to be discussing today.
So yeah, I did personal training back in early 2000s, where you were my examiner. So that's how long it goes back. And since my personal training journey, I think I've always been interested in the root cause of pain. And that's always been supported by going along with CHEK stuff, like doing HLC, which is where I also saw you. It's really mad how our journeys have...
Yeah, that was 2004 we did HLC 1.
Yeah, a long time ago. And so doing the CHEK stuff, you really get to be empowered to really help people, not just be the PT that just does fitness and cardio and lose weight, but to also help posture, get people out of pain and things like that. But along the way, I always found just doing corrective exercises and mobilizations every day, they helped, but it's like if you stopped, it's like the the pain comes back. So it's just, but what really is going on there? And so that led me down, studying a bit more, doing more CHEK stuff. I moved to Australia. I was mentored by CHEK level 2s and 4s over there in Brisbane. So I got to learn quite a lot about that. And then also going on a bit of a spiritual journey and learning more about trauma and how that impacts us and how that can also impact our body. Like different parts of our body mean different things, support in different areas like lower back, not having enough support, etc., etc. So yeah, I just kept going along this journey. And then when I had a massive shock trauma with the death of my best friend, sudden death of my best friend, that started me on somatic experiencing, where a friend was like, what's gone on? What do you need? And when I said my best friend's died suddenly, and he recommended that I go and see a somatic experiencing practitioner. So that really started the journey of really being with the body, noticing the experience, tending to it, supporting the nervous system. And then years go by and I decide to do the training. And I finished that training. I can't remember when I finished it, but I started it in 2018 and it's a 3-year course. Then throughout that, I found there was also something missing for me in somatic experiencing. I mean, it was great in terms of getting me to understand what happens in the nervous system, giving me language, understanding techniques and protocols of how to move people out of states and settle their nervous system. But there was something missing for me in terms of the relational element, the relational aspect of what goes on for people when they're in trauma. And so with my work, a lot of people that come and see me, it's not necessarily, very few come to see, I think I've had very few people come to see me because of any shock trauma, which could be like a fall, an accident, things like that. Most people come to see me because they're aware that they have complex PTSD, which is early childhood developmental trauma. And so the relational piece for me has been really important. And I'm mentored by someone who does the relational piece in terms of neuro-affective touch. And there's also neuro-affective relational model. And they kind of blend in to each other to really support the person, give attunement, give care, give the things that were missing for people that when they were growing up, that they didn't have when growing up, and therefore they protect themselves. They've created protection strategies to then not get hurt, not be vulnerable. Being vulnerable, having needs was not okay. So they would have shut that down. And then years later, as an adult, they're still finding, why are these patterns still happening? Why do I have these reactions in my body? And so neuro-affective touch has really shown me a way of really getting to the core. Like I spoke to my mentor before. I mentioned I was going to be on a podcast, and I said, what is the thing that you want me to share about any touch to people? And she said she believes like it just gets to the core of things. It gets to the very core of things, like of what were all those missing pieces from not just as a child, like 1 to 6, but even pre-birth. There's now more evidence showing perinatal trauma. And we can even go back to conception. And some people, they'll have experiences of, even on a soul level, of not being ready to be reincarnated, not wanting to leave home and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a little nutshell.
Yeah, that's a good overview of your journey and a little bit of an introduction into neuro-affective touch.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm thinking at the moment is, what would a session look like?
What would a session look like? So, I mean, a lot of the time, if I've got someone new, I don't get them straight onto table and touch them. Yeah. And then you can have people that they come in and go, no, I'm really up for it. I'm really ready for it. And they can just approach the table and already there's a is a very different context to getting on the table for a massage, for an acupuncture session, things like that. The context here is we're going to bring in holds, we're going to bring in touch, we're going to bring in just like deep comfort for the body. So a session would look like a typical session, if you've seen me for a while, it'll be being on the table. I've got behind me, there's a mattress foam underneath there, pillows. So the body just sinks in a little bit more. I then have things like warm weighted pillows like this, where we might place on the body, even place around the sides of the body to, bring in a bit of containment. So when these are warm, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And even if people don't want to get on the table, I just get them to plonk something like this onto shoulders, and you've got the weight and the warmth. And even in that, and with that, what you can start to see is, these little patterns of bracing, where can I let this in? Can I actually relax? Can I yield? Yeah. So we can already start to see this dance of, is it safe for me to be here? Is it safe for me to receive? Yeah. When I first had my session, um, when I was on the table, the words that came, my practitioner had barely even started, but it was with somebody I've worked with for quite a long time online, my mentor online. And the session had barely started, and the words that just flew out of my mouth were, I've been waiting my whole life for this. And I couldn't really tell you what that is, but it just felt like the deepest truth, or something within me has been yearning for this, has been yearning to be tended to and taken cared with in this way. So it was really, really, really profound. So if I go back to what does a session look like, it will look like somebody's on the table. I'll go, would you like some warm pillows anywhere? And sometimes people don't know, they don't know what they're missing. So I'll just place them along the body, and I'll just say to them, if you want to move, if anything gets uncomfortable, if you want to move anything, just let me know. So the idea is that, they don't have to do anything. I'm there to tend to them, see to their needs. And then I'll place a warm blanket on top. And then I may start at the shoulders by just a little contact on the shoulders, or I may hold their feet and just start with just saying hello to the body and just giving them instructions to just see if they can feel the support of the table beneath them, feel the memory foam, allow their bodies to just drop in, and then notice the warmth and the weight of the pillows on top of their body and the contact of the blanket. So it's as if the body from the back and the front is just being held really gently. And we just allow the nervous system to do whatever it needs to do. And, some people, they'll be like, I can't relax. And then there may be a dialogue of, okay, what might be needed for you to have a bit more ease? Yeah. And it might be something from the mind. The mind's like going, what is this? I don't trust this. And oftentimes people just voice that, and there's a breath, their body softens a little bit. And it's that, okay, mind, what might be needed to have a bit more ease? And mind might need to understand what's happening, needs to understand what are we doing here? Yeah. So it needs some reassurance. And then with the body, it might be, okay, body might just need to know, we can stop whenever we want. If ever you need to, we can stop. Yeah, we could pause. We don't need to go any further. And so, that's the beauty with neuro-affective touch, where it's the mind and the body. We tend to both. So the top-down approach, the bottom-up approach, we look after both. We don't discard the mind. The mind has just given us really strong protection strategies. So we kind of honor that. They've been put there for a really good reason. They've, allowed people to be where they are, do what they've had to do to get on with life, so we kind of honor that as well. And we tend to the body, which often in today's society, we don't pay much attention to the body. I had someone recently just say, I thought my body just took my head around to places, carried it from A to B. I didn't realize there was so much information, so much wisdom, and so much love here. Yeah. I don't know if you get this experience of people in chronic pain, is that they think their body is against them. They think their body is the enemy. And it's like quite early on, I try and, really go, your body is actually your ally. It doesn't mean it might look like it's trying to screw things up for you, but it's actually on your side. And we need to shift that relationship to start, acknowledging that and listening and being with it and not being afraid to be with it.
So what you've just described, can you explain what's actually going on in the body and how that might help someone in pain? Let's take a moment for Connor's story, because if you've been sidelined by injuries that just won't go away, you'll relate. Connor was a dedicated tennis player struggling with multiple injuries, knee pain, shoulder issues, and a bad back. He couldn't play properly, and it was crushing his confidence on court. After we put a plan together, tailored to his needs, Connor was pain-free in just 7 weeks. His movement improved, his strength returned, and he hasn't looked back since. If you feel like injuries are getting in the way of doing what you love, download my chronic pain breakthrough blueprint at www.bodycheck.co.uk/free pain guide. You deserve to perform at your best without the setbacks.
So we go with touch is our first language. Beyond when we're babies, we don't understand words. Yeah, what we'll understand is being held, being soothed, being patted on the back, and that's soothing. We know that. Yeah. So when we're distressed and we're crying, when we get that response, hopefully there's a knowing of, there's someone here. Yeah, I'm still feeling in pain. I've still got colic, but there's someone here. Yeah, so that is our first language. And so there is an effect on that. And I mean, it must have shown up for people during COVID, during lockdown, when there was no touch. There will be people that went for a very long period of time not seeing another person in person and not having that contact. And then when, I don't know if you felt the difference of, I can finally do face to face. I can finally go and see my therapist, go and have a massage. It's really different. There's almost a in our system, in our body, this acknowledgement of this is necessary. Yeah. So there's the power of touch. And through that, we get to communicate with the younger nervous system. Yeah. Whereas we can intellectualize and go, if it's childhood stuff, dad was busy, mum was busy, they were really dysregulated, so they weren't able to, we can intellectualize it in that way and understand it in that way. But their body's just like, freaking out, just going, where is my safe container? Where is my holding? Where is that safe touch? Where is that affirmation of, you belong, you're worthy, you matter. Yeah. All of that. And that's powerful. Yeah. And I don't know why, but even I've got goosebumps saying this, even though I know this stuff. It's like, saying it still really moves me, still really touches me of, the importance of that. Yeah.
So it sounds to me like what it's doing is it's taking you back to those very early years, if you like. And what's quite interesting, you said, I think your words were, touch was our first language. And it's quite interesting that when we're born, we are sensory motor animals. So we sense and then we move. Sorry, no, we're motor sensory. Sorry, I got it the wrong way. We're motor sensory, we move and then we sense our environment. So, but then as we get older, we sense, and then we move. Like, right now I'm standing up, so the bottom of my feet are sensing the ground.
Mhm.
So my brain is using the sensation of the floor to keep me balanced.
Mhm.
But when we're born, we don't have that developed yet. You can't stand up when you're first born, right? As a human. So your motor sensory, so you move, and then the movement provides feedback through the sensations.
Mhm.
So it's quite interesting that you use that term, that touch is our first language, because that's exactly what it is when we're first born. That's exactly how we're born.
Mm.
We move, and then we touch our environment to sense where we are. Are we safe? All those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even before that, when we're in the womb, we're completely covered in amniotic fluid. We're completely contained within the environment of our mother's womb. So there is a process that we do that in neuro-affective touch we call nurture surround, because sometimes womb can be a bit triggering for people, especially if there's been trauma in there. So in this nurture surround, somebody will lie on their side on the bed. There'll be pillow around the front, so there's contact on the front of the body and they can hug it. There'll be a rolled up towel, blanket up against their spine, and their spine supports the sympathetic nervous system. So there'll be contact along there. There'll be the contact, parasympathetic is the front of our body. It's where we feel protected. So both parts of the nervous system are covered up. A blanket is over them. And there's times where I just sit with people in that position for them to know that I'm there. And the best way to explain it is when a child is sleeping and you've got the kid, they're next to you, they can rest because they know that an adult is there. That, if it's time to get up, the adult will get them up. If there's danger, the adult will. So I try and say to them about, this is about just allowing your system to rest. Like, do you feel safe enough to do it? And so it can be like an hour session, 90-minute session where they're just like that. And then there can be some really beautiful pieces in there when they feel safe enough. Sometimes their arm comes out and they want to hold hands. They just want to reach out for that. There's a trust in somebody will be there. Somebody will meet me. So that it can be really beautiful, really soft where, I'm just sitting there holding someone's hand. And in that, there's an affirmation to them. There's a message to them going, I'm okay. There's someone here. Yeah. Because, the main trauma that we all have, especially when it comes to feeling emotions, is, did I say all? I don't want to generalize it. Keep it a bit more simple. But that, oftentimes people will say when they start to feel something, there will be ways which they don't feel it. There will be ways that they will dissociate or it's not safe. Or they'll even say to me, I don't want to go here. I've got resistance. I can feel resistance, Liz. Yeah. And there it's just going, what is the resistance? What is the danger of going there? And what normally comes up is it'll be too much. It will be too much. And often I say to people, I just want you to notice that belief that it's going to be too much. And just to say that when people do actually get there, it's not as big and terrible as they think it is. You only think it's too much because when you were a child, when you were a little body feeling these emotions and there was no one there to go to with them, it would have felt too much. Hence why you would have found ways to dissociate, press it down, find ways to distract,
How would could you give me an example of someone, they're, I don't know, 50 years old, let's say, and that they're in a session with you and they say, no, this feels like too much. What is it that they're responding to?
They're responding to already the beginnings of the sensation of what is already uncomfortable. So say it's an emotion. There's an emotion there, Or let's just keep it really simple. There's a really uncomfortable sensation that's rising. So and it it will already be a pattern of, it's too much, shut it down. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but I guess my question goes back a bit more. So let's say it's a sensation.
Hmm.
Is it because they're in a particular position? Is it because you've suggested something to them? Or do you get the question?
Yeah, how's it been evoked?
Yes.
How's that been evoked in the first place? And that can be evoked in the first place, like say just on being on the table and me just placing hands just on the sides of their shoulders. That can be that can even be their first experience of having someone intentionally being there and just holding them with the intention of, I'm basically like emotional support. My job is to, as best as I can, attune to that person and be there. And in that can be so overwhelming in itself, because there have been reasons why it has not been okay to allow that. Even though maybe deep down they want it, but the experience has been when they've reached out for it, nobody has been there to take the hand. Yeah. People been too busy. Yeah. Too dysregulated or whatever. It's not to go and parent bash people. We're not set up in a way that really supports parents. We're not set up in a way to really support humans, yeah, to thrive, as you know. So, there could already be a portal. And then there can just be times if it's not table work and it's just sitting with people and they're just sharing something. I'm often reading between the lines. I'm not that interested in the story. I'm really interested in what's happening for them. And, I have a thing where I can pick up on it. I'll often feel that before they're even clocked onto it. And I'll just go, would it be all right just to slow down there and just take a moment just to notice what's going on in your body? Yeah. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, something's happening. Yeah. And I'll be like, how would it be if we just slow down and wherever you're feeling a discomfort, just see about just placing a hand there for now, just so we can go, okay, it's here and we're with it. Yeah. And they might go, no, I don't want to be with it. Yeah. And I always encourage people to be as honest as possible, because it doesn't work otherwise. The resistance is going to be one of the most important pieces to be with. Yeah, I'm not going to go ignoring that part that's just going, no, it's not safe, it's too much. Go, no, let's just push through, which is, what we do in society, what we tend to do in the gym, what we tend to just get on with it, Nike, just do it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And here's just like, no, I want to sit with the resistance, and I want to make sure that part, which is often like a young child, that has just gone, no, this is too much. So actually just sit with them and go, what might you need just to have a bit more ease here? What might make it okay? Yeah. And it might be, I just need a hand on my back. I just need a bit of contact. Or it's, just again, like knowing I can stop and you'll respect that. Yeah. So there's lots of ways where it comes about. And I also believe, people know, the body knows on some level that these sessions, things can unfold. I often get people going, I don't know what I want today. I just thought I'll just go with what my body comes up with. And so we'll do a little dropping in, like meditation, just a grounding, and then just ask the body what wants to unfold today. And just with that question alone, something starts to emerge where it's like, oh, yeah, here it is. And so we start tracking and being with that and tending to it.
It's interesting, 'cause listening to you speak, it almost sounds similar to the way in which hypnosis might work. That, you know, some event, some trauma has happened to someone early in their life, and obviously they're in that hypnagogic trance state in those first 7 years. And obviously that becomes hardwired into their nervous system, and that's how they tend to behave and respond in certain situations automatically without even realizing it. And one of the ways of overcoming that is through hypnotherapy. You can go back to that event and you can rewire the hard drive, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds to me like what you're doing is kind of similar, but it's just done in a different way.
It's done in it. Yeah, there's so many different ways. And I look at different ways to just go, is it the same? Is there something else? Like I've been looking at spinal energetics, spinal flow, and people just tapping the spine, and all this beautiful movement starts to unravel from their body, and they're, you know, moving trauma through. And I'm kind of curious myself of, you know, what, you know, I feel like that relational touch is really fundamental, really core to our being okay in the world. Because it just speaks to it. Like I said, you know, baby's crying. Somebody picks the baby up, holds the baby, and it's like, they're there. That just communicates so much to that baby. And when that doesn't happen and the baby is left crying, screaming, arms start moving, rage starts appearing, arm starts kicking, face goes red, really like those really distressing cries, to the point where still nobody's coming, or you're screaming and what you're met with is shut up or shaken, you know, all these, or shut the door and leave them. Yeah. And then we move into that despair, that, you know, people's postures drop. They just drop. You see it in their posture. Their shoulders come round, their clavicle, you know, when they're lying down, the clavicle's like a V. So, yeah, I've had it if I put my hand to people's sternum, I'm not even touching this. There's such a dip, yeah? So there's that despair of no one is coming. No one is coming. It's better to just shut everything down because no one is coming. Yeah. And to me, the only way we can reach those parts, like ultimately, the time for that attunement has gone. Yeah, ultimately, that should have happened when you were a baby and it didn't happen. Yeah, but here is just going, okay, let's give your body that sense of there is someone here. There is someone here meeting this. Yeah, and like you've seen with the forward head postures, we're protecting the heart. Yeah. And when I hold people's heart, when I eventually can hold people's heart, the experience is incredible. And sometimes I have to like kneel on my stool and push down. Like people really want that to be met physically. And you don't get that in hypnosis or any other forms that I've seen. Because touch has also been a taboo in the therapy world. Yeah. So it hasn't been a thing. But when I press in, and I think I'm breaking the person's ribs, like I think I must be hurting them, and I'll check in and go, "Are you okay then?" And they're just like, "This is bliss. This is so peaceful. This is bliss. This is what I've been needing." I feel like somebody said, I feel like I've been in a desert. And now I'm drinking at the oasis and drinking at the well. Yeah. And we, as far as I know, there's nothing that, like, yeah, I'd like people to tell me if there are things out there that does this. But as far as I know, in terms of a specific modality, nothing gets to it like this. And with the understanding of trauma. Yeah. And what's important there.
I want to share a quick story for those of you who felt blocked from progressing no matter how hard you train. John was a personal trainer and triathlete dealing with nagging knee pain that always came back when he increased his mileage. He told me he felt like he was stuck in a frustrating holding pattern. We assessed everything, his movement, daily habits, even his recovery, and created a realistic plan that fit his schedule. 10 weeks later, he was running further, stronger and faster with no pain and a new personal best in his 10K run. If you're tired of working hard and getting nowhere, download my chronic pain breakthrough blueprint at www.bodycheck.co.uk/free pain guide. Let's break through that plateau together. Yeah, what's interesting as you're talking about the heart, in the emotion code, there's something called the heart wall, which is where, someone's been, let's say, heartbroken. And what starts to happen is emotions actually get trapped surrounding the heart because they're trying to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's often layers and layers of trauma around the heart trying to protect it. So there is a technique in the emotion code where you release what we call the heart wall. And it might be the same thing, but done in a different way with neuro-affective touch.
Yeah.
So obviously the emotion code's done at purely at the energetic level, where this is more at the physical level.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably both are good. Yeah. And I suppose it also depends on what level of healing you're needing. Is it energetic? Is it really on the physical sense? But yeah, and then emotions are energetic anyway. So yeah. But the other thing I find really cool when you do hold the heart, often people's responses also, I feel like I can be myself now without the masking, without the appeasing, the people pleasing and all of that. It's just this moment of, I feel like I can be myself.
That sounds to me like they're reestablishing a love for themselves.
Yeah, because like you said, there is that heart. The heart is where not only do we feel joy, but we'll also feel that the heartbreak. That it's literal. You know what I mean? Yes, the heartache even is literal. Yeah, and we think of the heart, the electromagnetic field of the heart is 100 times greater than your brain. We've got more information going up to the brain than we do coming down. Like it doesn't just take blood around your body. Yeah, and there's a difference too when I contact people in the heart space, which is more their chest, to actually going to their actual heart. It's another level where, yeah, they'll ultimately underneath it all is that wanting to be held, but underneath the heartache and all of that is pain, is grief. Yeah. It's the grief of not having been met, or it's the grief of being hurt. And that is often the bit where we didn't get the support. Yeah, don't be a baby, stop crying. What are you crying for? Yeah, all these things. So it's just like holding that heart and going, people will experience that ache. They will experience that pain. But there's the capacity for it this time. They're not afraid of it. They understand it. And they're able to put their hand there and just go, this is what I felt. This is what I felt when I was little. And I squashed it all down. So now I'm going to honor it. Then go, yeah, that was really painful. That really hurt. Yeah. And then we get a bit of what we call emotional completion there, to be able to say, I'm hurt. That hurts. Stop hurting me. Yeah, things that we weren't able to say when we were younger. And just like with movements, when we have a fall and we weren't able to put an arm out to catch the fall, there's often something clunky going on in the arm, wanting to complete that movement. And the same with emotions. Emotions also want to complete. And when people do find that really authentic statement, or authentic truth, life force just comes back in. Energy just comes back in. Yeah. Empowerment, agency comes back in.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like, it's almost like they're finding themselves again.
Yeah.
The real them, rather than the protected them, the one that's been hiding behind all the armor all this time.
Yeah. Because had we have been held, there's a book I read years ago before I did any of this work, The Continuum Concept. And it was this woman, an anthropologist who lived with tribes. And babies were carried all the time. And she talked about when you're in your mother's arms, you know your place of belonging. So can you imagine if we grew up in that way where, when we were in distress, we were met with arms. Like this was a place we knew we belonged. We didn't have to question it. We didn't have to question, are we in trouble? Is she going to cut her love from us? All these things that happen in our Western in society. Yeah.
So obviously, we both work with people in pain. Why is it that touch is so important when it comes to healing pain?
I look at pain as a symptom. And any symptom, I try to view it as a distressed child. And so, like in real life, when there's a distressed child, and you might just put a hand there, give them a cuddle, whatever feels appropriate, there is a relief. Yeah. So even if there's just a regular headache, I will put my hand there just to go, oh, okay, something's going on here. And I feel it. It softens, it changes. Sometimes it goes completely. So yeah, that's how I view pain, as our body's way of trying to get our attention that something is not okay. And so for me, I tell people the immediate thing is just place your hand there, whether it is pain, whether it is emotion, whether there's a funny sensation in your stomach. It's just place a hand there. And if you can place a warm hand there, or a warm hot water bottle, even better. But it's it gives, just like with a child, it's just going, oh, I see something's going on here. I see there's some distress. I'm here.
Mm. So like you would, comfort a child in distress, you're comforting the symptom.
Yeah.
And giving it some attention.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, let me take a pill and it will go away.
Yeah. Or, oh God, I got that bloody headache again. So annoying. Just go away. Imagine like saying that to your kids, saying that to a child. Yeah. And then
Because it is part of you at the end of the day, isn't it? Right? You're talking to yourself using those words.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. So yeah, it shows how we relate to ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, again, words have meanings, they have vibrations, and the words that you use do affect your physical being. And that was, again, that was shown really, really well by Dr. Emoto, wasn't it, in Hidden Messages in Water?
Yeah.
That, when you say words to water, and we're 67% water, you say certain words to water and it affects the crystals if you freeze the water. So yeah, words are very important. What would you say to someone perhaps listening to this? They're in pain and they're kind of thinking, if I'm in pain, that's not gonna touch the sides. What would you say to someone that thinks that? Hi everyone. Now I have something new in the works that I'm really excited about. I know that not everyone can access or afford my one-to-one coaching, even though it can be life-changing. That's why I'm putting together a simple online group program designed to make my support more accessible and affordable. The mission stays the same: to help as many people as possible take control of their pain and live a life without limitations. At this time, it'll be in a supported group environment with a clear step-by-step plan, a setting that can be both powerful and motivating. Right now, I'm just exploring interest, so if you think you'd like to be part of this, just email me at leigh@beyondthepainpodcast.com or DM me with the word group, and I'll make sure you're the first to hear when it launches. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share more with you. Now, back to the show.
They may be right. They may be right. And there may be good reasons for them to have that belief as well. Yeah. And I would just say, just try it. Just try it. Just put a hot water bottle there. Just put your hand there for a moment. And actually notice the experience, because the experience could be, why do I want to put my hand here? If I put my hand there, then I'm going to feel it more. Then I'm going to have to connect with it more. Yeah. And they may have a really good reason why they wouldn't want to. So I would be, if somebody doesn't want to do that, whatever I suggest is going to be really annoying for them, basically. Yeah. Because, and I would be more curious about, what is going on there for them not wanting to put a hand there, not wanting to just be a bit curious about, okay, can I try this? Because they may be more attached to, staying in that place. We have woundology as well, some people, and again, people that are in chronic illness probably going to hate me for saying it, but chronic illness, there are benefits to it too, chronic fatigue. I can't go out. I can't socialize with people. It's better not to. Yeah. Because when I am socializing with people, I mask. I have social anxiety. So much can happen there.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I asked that question, I was talking about persistent pain. I wasn't talking about, you've just been in a car accident and your leg's hanging off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about a pain that you might have had for some
A
period of
chronic.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a fibromyalgia type condition.
Yeah. Fibromyalgia, I would say there's so much emotion in there. So much emotions, psychological, emotional distress going on in there. And actually the hand to it, if it's not yourself, ask somebody. Ask your partner, ask somebody, ask your friend to just hold. The person that developed Neuro-Affective touch, Aileen Lapierre, she really wants NA touch to be within the community. Things that we do for our partners, for our family, for our neighbours, to actually go, come back to that place of, we've gone from a place of pandemic, don't touch, to coming back to a place of,
Yeah, a £5 note will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the differences between this approach and other somatic or trauma-focused therapies?
I think I've mentioned bits of it, but if I put it more in a nutshell, is the intention to hold, the intention to be with whatever's going on in the body, the intention to, really kind of set up the experience for somebody to go, I've got you, I'm here, like a real physical presence of that through contact. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the main one. And what, like I said, my mentor who has trained in 50 million modalities, her words are, this gets to the core. This gets to the core of trauma.
So how does that compare to other kind of somatic or trauma folk? Like how are the other therapies, how do they work?
Well, as far as I'm aware, like we have somatic experiencing where in the training we do touch. There are levels of touch. But again, what I felt was missing for me was the relational. And having come from a personal training place to then go, God, I'm holding people's trauma here. How do I speak to them in a way that, takes care of them? How do I speak to them in a way that is relational and they can get relational within themselves? That to me was a real missing piece, because I don't have the psychology, the counselling background. Yeah. And whereas Neuro-Affective touch, it brings that language in, brings the dialogue. What we do is like a mind-body dialogue in. So it brings in both. Like I said, in counselling, in psychotherapy, touch is a taboo. Yeah. And now we're moving into a place where we've got touch. We're also supporting on a relational level. And we're tending to the nervous system, like what's going on in the nervous system. So that's where I find the combination of all of that, I feel makes neuroaffective touch really quite unique.
That's kind of led me on to my next question. Is that how do you combine? Obviously, you've learned different things. So I'm guessing you don't just use one thing. I'm guessing you use a mixture of the things that you've learned. So how do you kind of blend them together?
Um, it's just whatever presents itself. And, as you know, with my background, I try and be intuitive, try and be with that, try and trust what I'm feeling, trust what's coming up for me, and also being clear, like also noticing what is mine, what is theirs. And yeah, there's times when people do want a bit more of the psychoeducation of things. So, I can bring in a bit more SE techniques. Like we can go, but the times I've been like, let's just do SE, it doesn't, all these other elements come in. And it really, to me, it comes down to really looking after, like really seeing the inner child in these people. So yeah, different nervous systems to me are different inner children that need tending to. And really with that, it is tending to them like they're a child. So I think really my world has shifted more into the neuro-affective touch world. And then I use SE as ways of, just helping people come back, like ground. If they've dissociated, like let them understand, oh yeah, you've dissociated a bit. How about we hang out here for a little bit? It's pretty nice and peaceful. And now let's move the body a little bit and come back again. Yeah. So they start to go, oh, okay, this is what's happening, and things like that. So I find like SE is a really good tool for people to really understand what's going on that level, on the practical level of, okay, this is what I can do to try and bring my nervous system back into a more calm state. This is how I can ground. This is how I can perhaps like try come out of panic and things like that. And the neuroaffective touch is to me like a more wholesome way of meeting the person, seeing them and holding them.
Mm. Yeah, I was just thinking also, when you was talking about, you're with someone and you have to use your intuition and understand what's theirs and what's yours. And of course, the thing is, if you're within 6 feet of another person, you're absorbing each other's electromagnetic field as well, right? So um, there's obviously an advantage, as long as you're a skilled therapist, that is that you won't get online. I do a lot of my work online, and it does, listen, it does work well, but obviously, if I'm working with someone that lives a long way away from me, it makes it possible, right? But what I guess I'm trying to say is that when you're in person with someone, you can't really beat that.
You can't. And so here's where I can be I'm just really honest with people. I'll just be like, oh, I'm feeling something. Maybe it's mine. And I'd be like, oh, it's probably mine. But I just want to check in with how the rest of you is doing. So I don't try and pinpoint what's going on in that bit of you. Because as soon as we feel it, we're like, oh yeah, there is something going on there. But yeah, I'll just be really upfront if I'm a bit confused with, okay, is this mine? I know I've got these issues too, which tends to happen. You tend to get the people that, also bring up the stuff that are very, very familiar for me. And that's where I have to sit and just kind of take care of, that's where I have to just go, what is going on in me? So it's like a multitasking of, okay, I've got them in front of me. I've also got stuff running through my system as well. And sometimes a lot of the time now I've realized I can tell if it's mine or if it's theirs. And then I'll try and just I'll move about a little bit. I'll feel my pelvic bowl just to try and ground myself a little bit more. Or I might even just suggest, how about we just take a little pause and let's just move around. Because often the most times what I pick up the most is when people dissociate. I start getting really foggy. as well. And so that to me is just a little signal of, oh, something might be too much here. So how about we just hang back and just have a little break, move the body, move the spine, press your feet into the floor and stuff. But yeah, it is transference, counter transference, that's going to happen. And for me, it happens online as well. I can pick up stuff. And just as much as there's that, there's co-regulation too. So we will co-regulate. We'll do exercises to just really settle things, and we will bounce off each other. I can feel when their back starts to soften and things like that. And even online, I will offer energetic support and just be like, can you imagine just my hand on your back, and then my hand just around the front as well, just giving you a little hold. And I'll have people go, that feels too much. Can you open your hands a bit? And I'll open my hands and I'll be like, oh, I can breathe. And so that's really cool as well, that you can work in that way.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah.
Can you perhaps give us a couple of examples of someone you've worked with using this technique? At least one of them, if you can give us an example of someone you've helped with pain. The second one can be, or it can be something else.
I think my best example is probably if I bring up my partner, who I've shared quite openly, his struggles with chronic fatigue. He was doing really well and then had a relapse last year. And I'm so glad I did the Neuro-Affective touch last year, because it's really added something, added an understanding to me of what happens in his system. So with him, what happens is there are tremors, like serious tremors in arms and legs. Legs could seem like it's on a high spin washing machine. And then along with that is pain in various places. We've now got to a place where he can pinpoint the pain, and it's in his heart. But the story is in there is anger, rage, not feeling safe to express it because people have been scared of it. There's what shows up is complex PTSD, like real misattunement as a child. And what we found is the holding, the contact makes the biggest difference, which somebody pointed out to us, is that because it makes such a big difference, it really shifts things. It's quite promising because it says this isn't a disease. What he's got isn't a disease. This is his nervous system. This is emotional, psychological. And there has been, he's one of the people where holding the heart has been, has been like, oh, I can be myself. Yeah. And so with the pain now, when there's pain, I can see it on his face, and I'll just be like, do you want me to give you a hold? And I'll just go and give him a hold. And within maybe like 3-4 minutes, the pain's gone. Pain's completely gone. But now he's started the dialogue with it of actually going, yeah.
So not necessarily specific to this case, although it might be relevant in your answer, but in those kind of situations, what do you think is causing the pain?
So I'd go back to complex PTSD, trauma, misattunement. It could even be, when I share with my teachers what goes on in his nervous system, their response is, this is a really, really young nervous system. And what I come to understand with things like chronic fatigue is that, or even chronic illnesses, is that the nervous system wasn't ready to come out and be out in the world. Needed more time, needed more support, needed to know it was going to be okay. So we get a lot of conflicting ideas from people going, oh no, make him go and do this and go and do that. Bit of the stick approach, and I'm just like, no, this is the carrot approach. This is a really young nervous system, and we'll see it in movements with the hand where it's like this, and when you place a hand in there, there's it's like, and you'll see in people their breath calming. When there's a panic attack, when there's a beginning of a panic attack, I like bear hug my partner from behind, hold his chest. So he's got contact on his back. He's got a container around his arms. There's a bit of pressure on chest. And with moments of what would have been shit, he's going to be like this for like, this is going to take a while to recover. Like, and I mean, a couple of days, 3 days. It's like within about half an hour.
So do you think the causation of the pain, it's just the body trying to say there's something you need to deal with? It's bringing something from the subconscious to the conscious.
Yeah. It's trying to communicate something, and it wants completion. It wants completion. It's like the whole, Peter Levine shares stories of people. It's like 3 generations of one family where, they've all at the same age had a plane crash. Something's wanting to complete itself. And in here, something is wanting to complete itself. That anger wants to be met. And we think of anger as more of a secondary emotion. So then it's like, okay, what is anger protecting you from? And it'd be the vulnerability of, I needed to be held. I needed my mum. These really vulnerable statements that, that really hurt, that we weren't able to say in the time. So it's like, I always say to people, if we can go back in time and give that little one a talking stick and say, it's all right to say whatever you want to say. What would you say? Yeah. And, my personal experiences of that, I'm not my brother. Yeah. And in that, all this life force energy just started to release. Yeah. Like that truth that it kind of sings, comes up again and again in the head. And then and people, their throats start clamping down. It's like, no, you can't say this. It's too vulnerable. To then support them to say that. Yeah, it's a lot of stored anger, stored emotion, stored movements, which you weren't allowed to make. That's how I see pain.
Mm. Yeah. So I think one of the important things for people to take away, if they don't already know this, is that pain doesn't always mean that there's physical damage to your body or that there's a physical problem to your body. If you think of a headache, right, it's not because you've broken your skull, right? I mean, yes, you could have inflammation in your brain that could cause a headache,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is there's no tissue damage when you have a headache, right? You might have knee pain, but there might not be any knee tissue damage. You might have lower back pain, but there might not be any tissue damage in your spine or the muscles around the spine.
Well, here I'd be, again, like really curious in what's going on with the person, to have the belief that there's something wrong. Yeah. Because a lot of the childhood trauma stuff, we come back to that place where we would turn it inwards. Yeah. If there's something that's happening, if mum's angry, even if she's angry at dad, they all get turned inwards, like, I've done something wrong. If your parents divorce, done something wrong. Something's wrong with me. Yeah. People on the table like saying, I'm just broken. So I'd be really, that's where I'd be really curious about where that belief, where they might think there's something wrong. And it probably could go down that route of, I'm going to die. And then we have people having panic attacks. Yeah. And that panic attack is that place of, nobody's here. I don't know how to manage this.
Have you worked with anyone with fibromyalgia?
No. Oh, have I? Probably. I work with a lot of people with chronic fatigue, ME. They'll say pain. I've got people with pain, but I don't think anyone's actually said I've got fibromyalgia.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just a label anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's just a label because a medical doctor probably doesn't really know what's going on.
No.
They have to give it a label.
And go, that's something you need to put up with because there's no cure for it.
Yeah.
Is what
Well, also, sadly, I think medical doctors need to give it a label to make it look like they do know what's going on, right? Oh, I know what it is. It's this. Okay, so what's causing it, right?
This is where, yeah, it can be helpful too for people to get PIP.
To get what, sorry?
Their PIP, their personal independence payments. So these are
Yes.
disability
Yes.
benefits. It's like, this is where label, give me the label. I'll take the label so I can get my PIP.
So one more question for you. So for people who are curious, are there any simple practices or ideas that they could begin to explore at home?
Yeah. Hands, contact. So it's just like just having, so maybe start with just a nice settling exercise, a grounding exercise, which most people actually find it easier to ground through their hips, through their pelvis, through their pelvic bowl, as opposed to feet. So I say, like, take some time to just, if you want to do it with me, actually, Leigh, of just taking a bit of time just to become aware of your pelvis, your pelvic bowl, your sit bones, and maybe without changing how you breathe, on your out breath, just allow yourself to drop down into your hip. You're standing, so it might be a little different, but you could probably still do it too. Yeah, yeah. So I could already feel like things are getting a bit heavier around hips. Yeah. Are you really good at this?
Yeah, it feels like my legs are nailed to the floor.
Yeah. I can feel my stomach softening now. Shoulders are starting. Oh, yeah. Shoulders are dropped. Didn't even realize I was holding them up there. And hopefully, viewers at home can also experience this, be in the field. And then I just say, if there's a place you're on your body that can do with a bit of contact, where would that be? And just to allow your hand to land anywhere intuitively. If you know somewhere that you get a lot of discomfort, just let your hand land there. And maybe even just say hello. So that can start a journey of curiosity to what's going on in your body. And then if there is pain, I'd say, like, get a water bottle, hot water bottle, get some of these weighted, can get, wheat bags, lavender bags, warm them up somewhere, place them on the body. Yeah, get some nice weight on. And just start by saying hello. Simple.
Mm. Do you know, I felt extremely grounded doing that.
Yeah.
And I found I wanted to put my hand over my solar plexus.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good spot.
Interesting.
Interesting. You have a session with me, Leigh.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I'm fast approaching probably by the time this episode comes out, I probably will be 57. And my body feels amazing at the moment, which is really weird because I've got so much stress going on in my life. But my body feels amazing. It's like, probably best it's felt in like 15 years or so.
Amazing. That's really good. Because you had a period of like really bad back pain, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
how long ago was that? That was 12 years ago.
See, that's promising, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's hope yet for
There's
everybody.
hope, yeah. We can do things. We
Yeah.
can do things. We don't have to just feel decrepit.
No, absolutely not. No. And, I feel quite lucky, and, you might feel the same way, that we've had a teacher that we can look up to that's older than us and is in unbelievable shape.
That's
right?
really like reassuring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Proof in the pudding there.
Yeah. I think Paul is 63 now. And, still got six pack, still in good shape.
Still standing on Swiss balls.
Got two young kids, still doing it. So it's good to have that, you can see someone else doing it. And I guess that's what I'm trying to do myself as well. It's like to be an example for other people. Because I hear people much younger than me saying, "Oh, I've got this condition. It's because of my age." It's like, well, is it? No. Yeah, I get a bit of a bee in my bonnet when people say that they've got a condition because of their age.
You need to get your six pack out, Leigh.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it for about 15 years. So it's just coming back.
See? Don't lose hope.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
lose your six-pack. We'll come back when you're 60. You probably
I haven't had a six-pack since I stopped drinking. Anyway. So, Liz, it's been really good chatting with you. But what's next for you?
don't know. I'm quite curious about the spinal energetic work because it just looks so cool and stuff. But otherwise, I don't.
And it's okay not to know.
It's okay not to know. I'm all right not doing another course next year. I don't need to. I don't feel I need to. But you never know.
Just be.
Just be. I've got enough. Because even with the Neuro-Affective relational model, they've got they're in London. They're going to be in London next year, and I'm just like, but I feel like Neuro-Affective. It's good for now.
Yeah. And where can people find you online? Where can people find more about your work?
I have a website, www.somaticwellness.co.uk. Had to think about that. And I'm on Instagram, but I don't really post. But yeah, the website's the best place to find out more, to get in touch. Yeah.
Liz, thank you so much. It's always good chatting with you and having a bit of a laugh as well at the same time. That's always good. But yeah, thanks for your time and thanks for sharing with the audience today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Leigh. Thanks for making it fun. It's been great.
No problem.
Thank you.
So that's it from Liz and me for this week. But be sure to tune in, same time, same place, next week on Beyond the Pain. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Pain. If this episode resonated, please follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone you know who's been struggling. And remember, pain is not permanent. With the right insight and support, you can turn it into power. Until next time, stay open, stay strong, and keep moving beyond the pain.